Okay, I think we're live again. All right, sorry about that. It seems like the broadcast was having some kind of issues. So, going back to what I was saying, in the book of Genesis, we have this picture. And like I was saying, so God promises Abraham to have offspring. And of course, like most humans, we take things into our own hands and decide that we think we know how God's going to do something, and so we take action, and sometimes we make a mess of things. But here's what happens here is that Sarai has this idea, and she says here, "Behold, now the Lord is preventing me from bearing children. Go into my servant, that may be that I shall obtain children by her." Okay, so she's thinking physical. She's thinking in the physical realm. God is talking about a spiritual conception of the child Isaac. Not that God conceives the child, but that there is a miracle that happens within Sarah's body that God does to enable her to have children. So here we have the first instance, which is Ishmael is the firstborn to Abraham. Okay. Now, this is a pattern that I'm going to notice that if you'll follow me with this, you'll see this pattern of the firstborn always giving way to the secondborn. So, and at the very end, I want to explain why that, like, what does this matter? Like, who cares? Like, what does it have to do with Jesus? Because, we have to always figure out how we're going to make this connect to Christ, because the Bible's written about the Messiah, about Christ. And so here we have Ishmael. But God specifically tells Abraham, right, that Ishmael is not going to be the child of the covenant, right? He says, "As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your offspring after you, throughout the generations." However, this is what he tells Abraham, right? He says, "I will give you a son by her, by Sarai. I will bless her, and she shall become nations. Kings of people shall come from her," right? And so Abraham says, "Well, what about Ishmael?" And God says, "No, but Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after him." Now we know that in the New Testament, Paul says that this word offspring doesn't have an S. It's talking about an offspring, which is Jesus. Jesus is the offspring that we're talking about here. All of these, the lineages, everything is going to point to one specific offspring that will actually inherit all the promises that were made to Abraham and to his offspring. It doesn't say that the promises were made to Israel. It never says that it was made to Israel. So I'm not going to point this to say, "Oh, Israel is this person, or this nation." That has nothing to do with Israel. However, and I don't want to get into that topic. That's a topic for another discussion. But what we're talking about here is that the promise that was made to Abraham and to his offspring, singular. The promise of everything was made to Abraham and to Jesus, right? So here we have this. Ishmael gives way to Isaac. Okay, so that's the first one that we see. We see that Ishmael, who is the firstborn, does not inherit the promise, but the inheritance of the promise goes to Isaac. Okay, now, and most people would say, "Well, what's going on here?" Because it's typically the firstborn that receives everything. However, there's a connection that God is trying to make here, so that we can see what he's actually going to do with this whole picture here. So then we're going to look at the second example. Okay, we're going to look at the second example when where we see. So first we saw Ishmael and Isaac. The second example that we're going to see is Esau and Jacob. Okay, so we go to Esau and Jacob, right? Here we have the picture of, let's see, where is it? I think it's in Genesis 27. Okay, so here is Esau, right? Let's actually go back. We're going to go back to a couple of chapters here. We're going to go back to the descendants, birth of Esau and Jacob. Here we go. All right, so it says Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, right, to be his wife, right? Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his prayer, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Now, they're twins. It says the children struggled together within her and said, if it is thus, why is this happening to me? So she went to inquire of the Lord. The Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples from within you shall be divided. Okay? They're going to be divided. They're not going to be the same. One shall be stronger than the other. Here it is. The older shall serve the younger. The older shall serve the younger. This is going to be the pattern that we're going to see in Genesis over and over, that the older serves the younger. Okay? So it says, when her days were completed, there were twins, right? Now, this is important. Now, most people will skip over this part right here. It says the first came out red. I want you to make a note of that. If you're taking notes, write this down. All his body like a hairy cloak, so they called his name Esau. This is the firstborn. This is the firstborn Esau. Esau's the one who should have received the birthright, right? Now, Jacob represents Jesus. Now, most people, I never made this connection before, and most people will be like, well, I don't want to compare Jacob to Jesus. Jacob is a deceiver, and he's a liar, and da da da. However, we know that his name is changed. So that's not who he is. His identity is going to be identified later on. But here's what's interesting. Now, how do we know that Jacob represents Christ? Listen to this. Jacob was a quiet man dwelling in tents. Dwelling in tents. All right, think about this for a minute. When people say, where does Jesus live? And people are like, he lives in my heart. All right, well, guess what? You're a tent for Jesus, right? We're a tabernacle. The tabernacle's a tent. Jesus lives in tents. We are the tents. All right? So Jacob dwells in tents, right? Okay, so here's a picture. Here's a second picture that we see, right? And so this is the second one. Now, here again we see this red stew, right? Now, keep note. This is the second time we see red here, and we see red here. This is important. This is important, okay? So, most people will say, well, Jacob stole his birthright. He didn't steal it. He sold it, right? Esau sells his birthright. Right here it says, he says he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. He sold it. Jacob never stole anything from him. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob. So there's nothing being stolen here. All right? Now this is what's interesting. Now this is a side note. This is not part of the study that I'm going through here. But I want you to pay attention to this. This is how I know that Jacob represents Christ. Because it says this, right? When Jacob goes to receive the blessing from his father, guess what he does? He puts on, it says here, that he puts on, where is it? So Rebekah put the best garments of Esau, her older son. She puts his garments on. Not just that, but she puts goatskins on his hands, right? So Jacob is putting on Esau's clothes, and he's putting on dead skin. Well, Jesus is God, and yet he puts on Adam's clothes, his skin. He puts on the skin of a man, a dead man. Jesus does that. He dresses himself the same way to appear to be Adam. The Bible says he's the second Adam, so we know that he's... And he does it to deceive the devil, right? The devil, when he comes to him, he's like, if you're the Son of God, do this. If you're the Son of God, because he didn't know who he is. So he's disguised. That's a side note to what we're talking about. But I just want you to go understand that that's what's happening. All right, so let's look at that's. So we're looking at Ishmael and Isaac, now Esau and Jacob. Now watch the third one. And most people skip over this one because it looks like it's just coincidental. It's just, and most people are like, why is this story even in here? It talks about when Joseph is sold into slavery, right? And by the way, here's another one right here. This one is also another one where the first gives way to the second. It talks here against Simeon, and Levi, but also, well, that's not the right. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Okay, let's keep going. So we go here, and then we find this odd passage that just seems to be right in the middle of Joseph's story about Judah and Tamar. And we're like, why is this even in here? Like, who cares? What's going on? Well, first off, remember that Judah and Tamar are in the lineage of Jesus, so it is important. But notice this, okay? So Tamar, I don't know if y'all know the story about Tamar, but she married Judah's son, his first son, and he died. And then so the second son took her, and he died. So Judah's like, man, this woman is like bad luck. I'm not going to let her marry my last son, because then he's going to die. So he doesn't let her marry the third son, which is by law her right. So she takes things in her own hands, and she dresses like a prostitute, sleeps with her father-in-law, and gets pregnant, okay? But here's what's interesting here. And I want y'all to pay close attention to her, okay? It says that when she was in labor, one put out a hand, and the midwife took it. So this is supposed to be the firstborn. The hand comes out. Midwife took and put a scarlet thread. There it is again. There's the red again. And this is supposed to be the firstborn. Zerah was supposed to be the firstborn. But guess who comes out? What a breach you have made for yourself. Perez comes out, who is in the lineage of Christ. The firstborn gives way to the second. Notice that. So Perez is actually born first, even though Zerah's hand came out. He was supposed to be the firstborn. So there it is again. Okay, now here's one more. Okay, so we're going to go through here, and we're going to look at the very end of Genesis, where Jacob is going to bless the children. Now, something happened. Now, I skipped over it because I couldn't find it. I could probably find it if I want to, but you can look this up, and I'll give you this homework if you're watching. Notice that Reuben is the firstborn of Jacob. Okay, he's the firstborn of Jacob, but yet he loses his birthright also because he sleeps with one of his wife's concubines. And that's actually, most people don't understand when that happens in the Old Testament. It's more than just, this guy's lusting for his wife or whatever. It's a power move. It's a usurpation of power from the father. He is making a power move, trying to usurp his own father by taking one of his wives. So what happens is that Jacob kind of disowns Reuben. He doesn't disown him as a son, but he loses his birthright. And we see this because in the following chapter, if you don't want to take my word for it, this is what he says. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might and my first fruits, my strength. But look, it says, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it, you shall not have preeminence. Again, the firstborn loses his birthright. Again. But guess what he does? Okay, this is what Jacob does, and this is what most people miss. Check this out, okay? He gives the birthright to his son Joseph, but not just that. Here's what he says. He says this, right? Jacob said to Joseph, right? He says, now your two sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt are mine. Jacob says, my kids, Ephraim and Manasseh, are mine. Reuben and Simeon, they're out of the picture. These guys took their place. Well, here's what's interesting. Manasseh's the firstborn. Ephraim is the secondborn. Well, guess what he does? Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh, crossing his hands, for Manasseh was the firstborn. Notice, and Joseph catches this. He says, when Joseph saw that his father laid his hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he said, he took his father's hand to remove it. He's like, no, Dad, no, you got it wrong. Put your right hand on Manasseh's head. Joseph said to his father, not this way, my father, since this one's the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. Nevertheless, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his offspring shall become a multitude of nations. Now here's another topic for another time. I'm not going to get into it right now. Most Christians don't know about Messiah ben Joseph. Most Christians know about Messiah ben David, the Messiah from the line of David, from the line of Judah. Most people are completely unaware of Messiah ben Joseph, the Messiah from the line of Joseph. Whoa, hold up. That's two Messiahs. All right, well, I'm not being heretical. I'll show you how it's still Christ. But I'll show you that in another episode. So if I can get some likes on this video, I'll do a podcast on that. All right, so I have the example of first Ishmael and Isaac. The firstborn Ishmael gives way to Isaac, the secondborn. Then we have the second picture. We see that Esau, the firstborn, gives way to the secondborn, Jacob. Then we see one that's always missed, Zerah, the firstborn, or the first should have been firstborn, gave way to Perez, the second. Then we see this is a double whammy here, because not only do Reuben and Simeon lose their place to Ephraim and Manasseh, who came after them, but then also Manasseh, the firstborn, gives way to Ephraim, the second. So what does this all have to do with Jesus? All right. Remember I told you to take notes about the color red. Let's go back, and we're going to go to Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. All right, so we're going to go into the creation, right? It says, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth, right? And it says, there was no man to work the ground. I want you to notice, when people say, who are the first man and woman, they say, well, obviously Adam and Eve. But I want you to notice something that this is interesting, okay? It says here, right, in the original Hebrew, the word man is the word Adam. But there's more. Because this word Adam has a double meaning. Okay? What's this right here? Man, perhaps so called from the idea of redness. The name Adam sounds a lot like Edom. So it has this connotation of redness. Red, ruddy, right? So Adam is, in a sense, a red man. I'm not talking about race. We're just talking about his appearance. So Adam is the firstborn, and he is considered the son of God. He is considered the son of God. And he's represented by this color red. The firstborn is considered red. So there's more to this, though, because now we know that this red means the first. It's the firstborn, the first Adam. Esau was red in color, right? Zerah had a scarlet thread put on his hand. So there's this idea of redness associated with the firstborn. However, Jesus is the second Adam. How do we know this? Let's go to our deep seek. Where is Jesus called the second Adam? All right. So those of you that are Bible nerds, you already know the answer. But I know scriptures, but I don't have their addresses most of the time. Oh man, this is taking long. I wonder why. Okay. So if Adam is the first, Jesus is the second. Man, it's really taking long. Okay, here it is. Second Adam. Okay. Last Adam. Right? It says the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam became a life-giving spirit, which is Christ. Okay? This is in 1 Corinthians 15:45. So let's go there. 1 Corinthians 15 and 45. 1 Corinthians 15 and 45 says this, thus it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. Remember, bread, okay? The last Adam became a life-giving spirit, which is Jesus, okay? The first man was from the earth, a man of dust. This is possibly why he's considered red, because clay, it's red, dust is red. The second man is from heaven. As was the man of dust, so also are those of the dust. And as the man of heaven, so also are those who are of heaven. We are spiritual beings in the image of the man of heaven. We shall bear the image of the man of heaven. Again, the firstborn Adam gives way to the last Adam. The first Adam gives way to the last Adam. Now this is also having to do with the old covenant giving way to the new covenant. The old way is the old covenant passes away. We know this, okay? How do we know this? Because it says in Hebrews. In Hebrews, let me see. Let's find it here in the book of, okay. The world's passing away with its desires. Let me see. Let's just look into. I know it's in Hebrews, but I'll have to look for it here. Just give me a minute. In the book of Hebrews, it's obsolete. It's the word obsolete. Okay. In speaking of a new covenant, he makes the first one obsolete. See there? The first one gives way to the second. What is becoming obsolete and is ready to vanish away. The old covenant gives way to the new. Just like Adam gives way to Christ, just like Ishmael gives way to Isaac, just like Esau gives way to Jacob, just like Zerah gives way to Perez, just like Manasseh gives way to Ephraim. But, however, there are people that want to continue in the first one. People are associated. You're either going to be associated with the firstborn, and because the firstborn think that they deserve what they deserve by birth. How do we know that this is the case? How do we know that this is the case? Because let's go back to Genesis now, and we're going to go back to the red stew. The red stew. This represents the flesh. Jacob is more interested in the red stew, which is the old covenant, right? This is representative of the old covenant, while Jacob is more interested in the promise. The promise is spiritual. The promise is of heaven, not of this world. So most people that want to live in the old covenant, they want to live by the old rules. They want to live by keeping Sabbath, keeping circumcision, keeping all these things. They're trading the promise, the true promise of the heavenly Jerusalem for this earthly Jerusalem. And I don't know if those of you that have been to Jerusalem, that place is a cesspool for battles and wars and people fighting. And I mean, who wants this place? This earthly Jerusalem is a mess. We know that the real Jerusalem is of heaven. We know that the real promise is a heavenly one. This is where Jesus is trying to get us to come out of this firstborn mentality, this firstborn fleshly mentality, into a spiritual mentality, which is the second covenant. Jesus represents everything in the second covenant, the newness. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come. So this is the idea that I want to get through to this, that we need to stop living in the old covenant. Now, I don't know how many people have come, and we still have this debate going on about whether or not we should keep the Sabbath. Okay. Well, let's look at that for a minute. Okay. Let's look at Exodus here. And we're going to look at Exodus. Let's see. Well, let's just look up the word Sabbath, because We know that it's in Exodus, okay? Here, okay, all right. It's in, I think it's in this part right here, Exodus 35, okay? All right, here we go. No, let's go back to the previous chapter. I think it's in the previous chapter. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I should have had everything ready, but okay. So we have. I want you to notice something very important. Okay, very important. Well, I'll just look it up again. I wrote it in my Bible, but I can't read right now because I don't have my glasses. So, here it says. Let's go to Exodus 31. I think it's this one. Here it is. Yes. Okay. Now, this is talking about the Sabbath. You're to speak to the people of Israel. The people of Israel. And say, above all you shall keep my Sabbaths, for this is a sign between me and you through your generations. Now, most people will say, you see, it says the covenant forever. So we have to keep the Sabbath because God says keep the Sabbath forever. Well, let's look at this. This word is the wrong word. How do we know this? We can go right to the Hebrew. What does it say? It says the sons of Israel, Ben Yisrael. This is a covenant between the sons of Israel, not the people of Israel. Well, guess what? We are not, as Christians, sons of Israel. We are sons of Abraham. We are not sons of Israel. By no means are we sons of Israel. We are sons of Abraham through covenant with Christ. We become sons of Abraham through faith. Never, ever is a Christian Gentile called a son of Yisrael. Never are we Ben Yisrael. We are Ben Ibrahim, right? Children of Abraham. So the Sabbath does not apply to a Gentile who believes in Christ. It's not for us. It was never for us. All right? Anyway, that's what I have for today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, I've been checking the chat. I don't know if the chat works. Hope it does, but I can see that it's over here. I was gonna have my wife check to see if the chat works, but she's busy right now. So hopefully, eventually I will get some people to be following on this, and we will have some good discussions. I'm looking forward to answering questions and even get into a debate if I have to. I don't like to. I don't want to. I feel like debates are always like, oh, it's my way versus your way. But if we are truly brothers and sisters in Christ, then we shouldn't be debating. We should be just discussing. We should be learning and encouraging one another, building one another up, as 1 Corinthians 14 says. Let everything be done for building one another up. And that's not my quote. But I'll also reference my good brother, Tom Wadsworth, Dr. Tom Wadsworth, who has some great videos on this topic. So if you want to know more about it. So until next time, guys, be blessed and be a blessing to others. We will see you guys hopefully next Friday.